Welcome to another segment of the Introduction to the Philosophy of the Human Person, Module 4, Quarter 1, The Human Person in Their Environment. In the previous chapter, we reflected the meaning of what it means to be an embodied spirit, as the body as limitation and transcendence. Today, we will explore different understanding and relationship with the environment. As physical science, philosophy also seeks to explore the relationship between humanity and the environment. Environmental philosophy or environmental ethics deals on the studies of moral relationship of human beings with the environment and its non-human context. Environment is the sum total of all surroundings of living organisms, including natural forces and other living things, which provide condition, development, and growth, as well as of danger and damage. Scientists also monitor the changes in our environment. Their studies show that our world is changing, not for the better, but for the worse. And humanity is responsible of this. But why are these things happening in the world? How do our actions lead to negative effects in the environment? To quote the English poet John Donne, "No man is an island. Entire of itself, every man is a piece of continent, a part of the main." This means as a human persons, we interact not only with our fellow human beings, but also with the other living and non-living elements in our environment. Humankind is part of the world, and we significantly affect our environment in the same way what changes in our environment affect us. A human person is a living being that contains a real and existing to direct its own development toward fulfillment through perfect, unconditional, infinite love, goodness, beauty, and unity, and will do so if all the proper conditions are met. In our lesson, there are two learning competencies that will be achieved. It is based on most essential learning competency. 4.1. Notice things that are not in their proper place and organize them in an aesthetic way. 4.2. Show that care for the environment contributes to health, well-being, and sustainable development.
This time, I am inviting you to listen to the song titled Masdan ang Kapaligiran by Lolita Carbon o Asing.
Wala ka bang napapansin sa iyong mga kapaligiran? Kay dumi na ng hangin, pati na ang mga ilog natin.
Hindi nga masama ang tag-ulat at malayo-layo na rin ang ating narating. Ngunit masdan mo ang tubig sa dagat, dati kulay asul, ngayon'y naging itim. Ang mga duming ating ikinalat sa hangin, sa langit, huwag na nating paabutin. Upang kung tayo'y pumanaw man sa riwang hangin, sa langit natin matitikman. Mayroon lang akong hinihiling, sa aking pagpanaw sana ay tag-ulan. Gitara ko ay aking dadalhin, upang sa ulat na lang tayo magkantahan. Ang mga batang ngayon lang isinilang, may hangin pa kayang matitikman? May mga puno pa kaya silang aakyatin? May mga ilog pa kayang lalanguyan?
Bakit di natin pag-isipan ang nangyayari sa ating kapaligiran?
Hindi nga masama ang pagunlad kung hindi nakakasira ng kalikasan. Darating ang panahon, mga ibong dala ay wala nang madadapuan. Masdan mo ang mga punong dati ay kay tatag, ngayon'y namamatay dahil sa ating kalokohan. Lahat ng bagay na narito sa lupa, biyayang galing sa Diyos kahit nung ika'y wala pa. Ingatan natin at huwag nang sirain pa, pagkat pag kanyang linawi tayo'y mawawala na.
Mayroon lang akong hinihiling, sa aking pagpanaw sana ay tag-ulan. Gitara ko ay aking dadalhin, upang sa ulap na lang tayo magkantahan.
After listening to the song, Masdan ang Kapaligiran, here are the following guide questions for your reflection. 1. How did the song regard the environment? 2. How did the song see the human person in the environment? 3. What is the tone of the song? 4. Which lyrics serve as most meaningful to you, and why it is meaningful? Those are the questions for your personal reflection. Hoping that your reflection is a fruitful one. After this, we will be back to continue our lesson for today. Thank you.
The Radyo Z-eskwela program of the Division of Davao de Oro is being brought to you by Nueda Builders Construction and Supply Incorporated, Maverick Builders Incorporated, Mitch Construction and Supply, Archicons Architectural Construction and Supply, DB Construction and Supply, Hanaway Builders Corporation, Phoenix Corvada Tagum Gasoline Station, Master Construction and Supplies, Mackenzie Builders, GP&H Construction Incorporated, Metro Gear Construction Corporation, NEN Builders and Development Services Corporation, Max Mays Enterprises Incorporated, We Inc. Construction Company, Rangay Construction and Supply, East Sussex Enterprise, WM Construction, Councilor Boogie and Miss Marjorie Vertodazo, Icon Builders and Supply, and Apex Mining Company Incorporated.
We are back. Lesson 4. the human person in the environment. What is an environment? There are many different definitions and perceptions as to what an environment is. But the simplest is the surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates, and the natural world as a whole, or in particular geographical area, especially as affected by human activity. How humans impact the environment? Well, like all living things, human beings are an integral part of the environment. And because of this, they are subjected to the control and restraints that the environment implies. Change is a natural phenomenon that occurs within the environment and is an essential part of it. This is because the environment has been created in such a manner that it can under normal circumstances. The environment is adequately dynamic enough to accommodate these changes. Therefore, there are some environments that experiences continual change and adjustments. This is referred to as a dynamic equilibrium. Philosophers believe that the person has a special relationship with nature. And like other organisms that are merely part of ecosystems and only exist to perform certain biological roles, the person has the ability to change the environment to suit his or her purposes. The early history of humankind shows that wherever humans came together to form communities, the landscape and the environment changed. Forests gave way to farmlands. Mountains were mined for minerals and metals, and rivers and lakes were transformed to yield more resources for mankind. And this pattern continues to this day. It is an orderly environment where human persons thrive best. This order can give rise to several problems and challenges for humankind. Humans are part of the environment. They live in it, from it, and with it. All these interactions shape our natural world. The natural disasters. This is most evident after any natural disaster, such as earthquake, typhoon, volcanic eruption, landslide. And these disasters result in great damage to property, injuries, and even loss of lives. Normal activities are disrupted in both cities and in rural communities. As a rational being, the person is not only capable of transforming the world, but also of understanding the laws which govern nature. It can be said that the world is a text which the person can read and understand in order to live a better life. Because of this ability, to access nature, the role of the person in relation to it can take on different form. There is what we call man-made disasters. This level of disaster is uniquely done by human beings, and there are many examples we can present to you. One is train accident. Second is aviation incident. We have also the shipwreck. Another one is traffic collision. We also have structural collapse, bridge collapse, burning forest, and factory pollution. A person may also view this environment as something that envelopes and surrounds him or her, and thus they have a special and unique relationship with it. The raw state of the environment can be likened to a blank canvas that needs to be painted on. Persons have the unique ability of cultivating nature, either positive or in a negative way. This means that persons can help the environment, especially if human beings decided to become a greater contributor for good and for what is originally what Earth made of. It is always a decision of every human being.
Let us proceed to environmental ethics and environmental philosophy. These two have a relationship between humanity and the environment. The environmental philosophy or environmental ethics is the discipline in philosophy that studies the moral relationship of human being with the environment and its non-human context. Environmental philosophers tackle issues such as humanity's role in the nature world and the interaction between nature and human activities, wherein the humanities has a great responsibility to environmental challenges. What is environmental ethics? It is a new sub-discipline of philosophy. It is the moral relationship of human beings to the value and moral status of the environment and its non-human content. This also caters on the study of the ethical basis of environment, of discussion on the ethical basis of environmental protection. This too has a great significant discipline in the philosophy that studies the moral relationship with the environment and its non-human context. Why need to study environmental ethics? To overcome the following questions. On what are the environment damage produced by the present generation and what acts must be given up to slow such damage? What is the world made of? How did the world come into being? And how can we explain the process of change? These were the philosophical questions already brought up approximately 600 before Christ's era, wherein the Western Ionian seaport. What is the world made of? How did the world come into being? And how can we explain the process of change? These are philosophical questions brought out approximately 600 before Christ's era in the Western Ionian seaport town of Miletus across the Aegean Sea from Athens, Greece. The speculation of the pre-Socratic philosophers represent a paradigm shift, a change from mythical explanation of the origins of the cosmos to a more rational explanation. Eastern sages proved nature's depths intuitively through the eyes of spiritual sages, which Greek thinkers viewed nature through cognitive and scientific eyes. These thinkers were looking for the underlying laws of nature because they wanted to understand and process of nature by studying nature itself, not by listening to the stories about the gods.
According to Ping, one of the contemporary philosophers, in year 2010, he presented in his philosophical study the two frameworks where humans can be related. The two frameworks under the anthropocentric model.
Let's move to another approach or model, the ecocentric model. In this model, it is the ecological or relational integrity of the humans that provides meaning of morals and values, and it is nature-centered. Unlike the anthro, it is human-centered. In this model, it is devoted to preserve the totality of the Earth's biodiversity and the functions of its life and supporting system. Moreover, this model places great value on ecosystem and biological communities, and that the human being have significant role as stewards or guardian of nature, and that it centers on the balance of order in nature that will bring about stability and beauty idea promotion. Another input on ecocentric model. It places emphasis on ecological, relational integrity of humans in providing meaning, moral of our values, and it is the nature-centered. On the other hand, this model believes that humans are not the only significant species on the planet, and that all organisms have inherent value and should be protected. This view drives the activities of human organizations that advocate the ethical treatment of animals. In fact, our government has passed laws that recognize the rights of animals to be treated kindly, such as Republic Act 8485, known as the Animal Welfare Act of 1998. This ecocentrism places great value on ecosystem and biological communities, such as the nature, wild, holism, body, relational, earth and wisdom, and ecology over against humans. This view also promotes the idea that order and balance in nature brings about stability and beauty. Several philosophical views on the environment, such as deep ecology and the Gaia hypothesis, emphasizes the important role of the interaction between the living and non-living components of the environment. The influence of humanity in the environment can be best understood if we consider the individual person as a dynamic source of change. Within his or her particular environment, we benefit greatly from a clean and orderly environment. It contributes to a safety, well-being, and health, while dirty and disorderly surroundings result in disease or accidents. Environmental aesthetic is one of the philosophical views that believes maintain order in the environment will contribute to the well-being of the people and other organisms living in it. And so, let us appreciate the natural beauty that brings about with a concern for our environment and helps people relate more effectively with nature. Let's pause for a break and we will return after a few minutes.
The Radyo Z-eskwela program of the Division of Davao de Oro is being brought to you by Nueda Builders Construction and Supply Incorporated, Maverick Builders Incorporated, Mitch Construction and Supply, Archicons Architectural Construction and Supply, DB Construction and Supply, Hanaway Builders Corporation, Phoenix Corvada Tagum Gasoline Station, Master Construction and Supplies, Mackenzie Builders, GP&H Construction Incorporated, Metro Gear Construction Corporation, NEN Builders and Development Services Corporation, Max Mays Enterprises Incorporated, We Inc. Construction Company, Rangay Construction and Supply, East Sussex Enterprise, WM Construction, Councilor Boogie and Miss Marjorie Vertodazo, Icon Builders and Supply, and Apex Mining Company Incorporated.
We are back! Let's proceed to wrap up. In this lesson, students learned that human activities have a significant impact on the environment. Current scientific evidences proves that human activities over the centuries have resulted in great changes in climate patterns throughout the world. Climate change and its related effects are among the most important environmental issues we face today. It is the responsibility of the philosophers to believe that persons have special relationship with nature because of their rationality. They are not only part of nature, but they can also shape, transform, and cultivate it. However, this also means that they are also capable of inflicting the most harm on it. Its major philosophical view regarding the person's relationship with the nature includes the two famous model approaches of the environment. These are anthropocism and ecocentrism. Anthropocism considers humans the most significant species on the planet and that nature provides humankind with the means of survival and development. Wherein ecocentrism believes that human being places a great value on ecosystem as a biological communities and that the human being have significant role as stewards or guardian of nature. These two approaches plays a significant role in the responsibility of individual to the environmentalism aspect. And sustainability of development is a concept that advocates the wise and efficient use of natural resources. It emphasizes that human activities must not unduly harm the environment and that natural resources must be used wisely and the environment must be preserved for the next generation. Kindly ponder these important details. That a human person is a living being that contains a real and existing to direct its own development towards fulfillment through perfect, unconditional, and infinite truth, love, goodness, beauty, and unity, and will do so if all the proper conditions are met. A human person as a reflection is a living being that contains a real and existing responsibility to direct its own development towards fulfillment through perfect, unconditional, and infinite responsibility. For your assessment, In a one sheet of paper, identify the common elements among the three different approaches, frameworks to understand the environment. Number 2, evaluate which among the three is most helpful today in responding to your problem in the environment. Students, are you done? Very good. All right, students, that ends our lesson this morning. It's been a great privilege serving you all, my dear grade 12 students. This is Ma'am ANGELIE ARIZ leaving a message on air that humans is the most significant species on the planet, and that nature provides humankind with the means to survive and develop. In fact, it's the responsibility of all humans to sustain and live the concept that advocates the wise and efficient use of natural resources.
This is also Sir Briggs for Leader GEROMO, living this quotation. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. Remember, we are all stewards. We have the responsibility and accountability. We care the universe, we care the Mother Earth, we care the natural environment, we care the whole humanity. Thank you and have a nice day.
Radyo Z-eskwela Executive Committee. The Schools Division Superintendent, Eufemia T. Gamutin, CESO 5. Assistant Schools Division Superintendent, Dr. Romel R. Handayan. OIC Curriculum Implementation Division Chief, Karina S. Frasco. School Governance and Operations Division Chief, Dr. Ruben J. Riponte. Members: Cecilia Morales, Dr. Hilda A. Opeña, Dr. Arlene B. Lim, Dr. Eldecris B. Calzadora, Dr. Dexter A. Siquinia, Nohara O. Pinute, Noemi P. Canales, Dr. Grace D. Pontillas, Virgilito C. Pabrices, Juanito Lapiceros, Engineer Norberto S. Manlangi, Jomar M. Dumupoy, Bob Daylan S. Milabat, Medard T. Ampit, and Paz Eugenia Villusino. Technical Working Committee, Productions and Communications, Lorely E. Quijano, Given G. Hinampas, Judyland T. Yu, Donna D. T. Bolifer, Mary Rose N. Resma, Riwen Manuel, Irene Lea C. Manguhon, and Bessie Aya N. Banias. Social Media and Packaging Team, Christian Anhara L. Martesio, William R. Ranara, Joan T. Iscoton, Roberto S. Acosar Jr., May B. Istaniol, Richard H. Arellano, Glee L. S. Blanco, Ralph A. Tabanyag, Angelo Gutierrez Jr., and Jade Karen Araiz.